So the good doctor has used this, let's say, a half dozen times since he installed it in September. And Josh, a moment of levity here. His wife said, okay, cool. She's a doctor as well. She said, if you want to do this, fine, but you need to get some extra life insurance if you're going to be running the roads with that emergency light. And so he did.
I mean, lots to get to there.
Yeah.
But first of all, let's acknowledge, okay, not unlike a unicorn traipsing through the newsroom, the David Begnaud has arrived, who was given a bold, italicized 2EV in the prompter, I do add. It's good to see you.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a big fan.
My brother, back at you, to be sure. Okay, so before we get to what this doctor has done, because it really is something of an aha moment for me, for stroke victims, how best to identify the fact that they are actually suffering?
So, you know, they have this acronym FAST, right? One of the things is you want to first acknowledge, then you want to act. And I'm going to tell it in the way of a story. While we were there, in comes a patient who woke up brushing his teeth, toothbrush falls, walks to the front counter, from the front table, bumps into the wall, takes a sip of water, spills all over himself. And his wife said, what is wrong with you? Spends the next hour trying to figure out, I'm just being a little clumsy, I woke up on the wrong side. That delay, on top of how long it took to get to the hospital, when he walked in the door, was losing function on the right side.
And millions of brain cells are dying.
2 million a minute. The doctor gets him in, and we watch it, Josh, through the groin, up into the brain, boom, done, 20 minutes, comes out. He's got the clot on a napkin. It was the size of a rice kernel. Within 45 minutes, he walks back out and he goes, he's sitting up in bed, he's moving his right arm, and he's carrying on about what they're going to do for dinner.
It's incredible.
Mind-blowing.
Incredible, and yet it speaks to, obviously, the rapid response that is
You got to see it,
required.
you got to act, and you got to get there. You have to understand, when you start doing things that you think are just clumsy or it's a little bit, you have to act. And that's why this guy's one of only one at that hospital. He's the only surgeon, small hospital in Palmetto. He worked 350 days last year. Wow. And the way the lights came about is he'd get to the hospital and the paramedics would give him a hard time, like, hey, doc, if you'd have gotten here sooner, we'd have more success. And he said, well, stop joking and get me some emergency lights. So they looked into it. They realized it was legal. And so they put it on his car.
These are obviously special lights. Every now and again, you'll see a car on the highway that looks like it might be a cop car.
Same thing. Same flashing lights in the front and the back, though properly installed. No siren, okay? Can't go above the speed limit. Can't drive crazy.
And police can see the lights and say, hey, those are legitimate. Those aren't something that he didn't soup up his car.
No, if he's coming behind you, you're going to realize that's an emergency vehicle.
Okay.
But in this case, it's a doctor.
Now, interestingly, too, you know, in theory, it's little known, police, in fact, on the roads do have to obey traffic laws as well. So, again, you made a point. He is stopping at lights and signs. He's not tearing it up at 150 to get somewhere.
He doesn't get to a red light and then say, let me look both ways and then go. As an ambulance would, he stops at the red light. And he stays stopped, right? So there's a limit. But at the end of the day, Josh, when you factor in you're losing 2 million brain cells every minute, if it would take him 45 to get from home, and that turns into 16 minutes, we're talking about the difference between a lot.
So what's his sense then of how tangible the impact has been? Lives saved, quality of life saved.
I mean, all he does is tell you stories. The way he proves that it's working is he just tells you stories. But he was nothing better than what we saw. We were there. The guy came in and he couldn't move the right side. He pulled it out of his brain and he said, now he's sitting up in bed talking, right? And then he talks about other people who waited a day, waited 2 days, said, let's finish vacation, then we'll go to the doctor, and they don't walk anymore. They're in bed at home.
Are there, moving forward, is there a sense that we could do this nationally? This obviously is working here.
Yeah, so he's, as best we know it, one of the only surgeons in the country that does this. I think you could find, maybe inspired by this story, other surgeons to say, why not, let's try it. Now, look, at the end of the day, the hospitals here in New York and other big cities, they have more than one surgeon, right? They have people on call. Sure. But for a hospital like this, where a guy works 350 days a year, but he's willing to come in anytime and every time they call, he's like, why not give me the sirens?
Yeah.
If I'm willing to leave vacation or a Sunday game watching football to come in to take your blood clot out, some lights, why not?
Why not? It's first time for me here, buddy, but get over here. It's great seeing you.
Big fan, Bubba.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And to everybody out there.
The man has redefined the walk and the talk. He is David Begnaud.
I think that was a bromance moment. Sam Champion's going to be jealous.
That's all right. Sam can get over it.